There's a grizzly bear on the road and my van is dead again. I'm like shaking because when the power cuts out, there's not much for brakes. This video was intended to be a completely hypothetical breakdown of what I would do in certain situations if things went wrong out on the back roads. But as you saw, things really took a turn. It had been more than 10 days since I left civilization behind to drive into the Northwest Territories, and I ended up being in the most remote place I had ever driven my van. So when I woke up to snow, I decided I best get to lower elevation and start making my way back towards the nearest community. But after several rainy days off camera, really dawdling, I was beginning to doubt if I would even make it back to town. And I was also starting to run out of some pretty important things in the van. Hence why I had started filming what I thought would be a hypothetical video sharing how I would manage certain situations. As I spent a couple days parked by this lake, I was mentally preparing for things to potentially go wrong, and I'm sure glad I did. I'm not entirely confident I have enough fuel for my van to make it back to town. The road was a lot more slow going than I anticipated, and if this distance had been on pavement on the highway, it would be fine, but my van is not as fuel efficient on back roads. I think that's pretty standard with all vehicles, so I might be cutting it a little close. On top of that, it started to get pretty cold, and I've been really rationing my diesel for the heater because I don't yet have an overstock tank on the roof because I just haven't needed it for months. So I just turn the heater on for a couple hours in the evening for the most part, and then we just have been bundling up. So I'm wearing a puffy vest and a jacket, and Frank's been wearing his jacket. I mean, he's laying outside. He's having a good time right now, but yeah, we have lots of blankets and stuff, so we've just been kind of staying warm in the way we used to. You're so cute when you're all bundled. There you go. And because I haven't been driving very much, I've been parked a lot of days or just driving, you know, a couple dozen kilometers. I'm really low on power. I've been having to conserve power and be really mindful about that use. And I'm also running out of some staples like cooking oil. I just finished the last of it. I have one bell pepper and potatoes. So I've been eating mostly dried food. And yeah, it's just, I'm kind of just in this like ration everything and live a little more rustic mode because I haven't wanted to go back to civilization. I've wanted to stay out here and enjoy this absolutely beautiful place. It's been really nice for, I don't even know how many days I've been out here. It feels like quite a while. Oh, it's so cold. So I live a pretty simple version of van life. I've chosen not to have any plumbing or a sink or a big water tank, which means that I get all my water either from public taps or preferably from filtering from the wild, which is a little bit of a chore, but it's totally worth it in my opinion. but staying properly hydrated is super simple and tasty thanks to today's sponsor, Element. I've been drinking electrolytes for many years now, and Element is by far the tastiest. They have so many incredible flavors. My favorites, though, are definitely the watermelon salt, raspberry salt, and citrus salt, although the grapefruit salt is really giving them a good run for their money. So one of the things I really appreciate about Element, aside from them being super tasty, is that there's none of this junk in their drink mix. There's no colors or fillers or starches or anything like that. There's just this science-backed blend of essential electrolytes that help facilitate tons of functions within the body, such as regulating hormones, metabolism, maintaining proper fluid balance, and sending nerve impulses. And so it's really important to stay on top of your hydration and to replenish all the electrolytes lost through sweat, whether it's from heat or hard work or just like normal day-to-day life. Because if you end up being depleted in electrolytes, you're more easily going to get fatigued and get headaches and things like that. I've been working really hard to stay on top of my hydration, and I've actually not had a migraine for like 6 weeks now, which I'm so grateful for. I don't have a great track record with staying hydrated, and so having the tasty flavors just makes it a lot easier for me to drink enough water to begin with, which is why I'm so excited to once again bring this offer to you today, which is only available through Element partners like myself. So if you go to drinklmnt.com/TIDELINETOALPINE and place an order with whatever flavor you think you're gonna like most, you're also gonna get a sample pack that includes all 8 flavors, so you can figure out which one you would like to try next. Since working with Element, I've heard a lot of great feedback from you in the comments that you've tried Element and that you really enjoyed it. But if you haven't tried it yet, I want to let you know that they have a no hassle money back guarantee, and even if you have tried it, you can go to drinklmnt.com/TIDELINETOALPINE and get that sample pack with every single purchase. So make sure you're using the link if you're a regular user of Element. And with that said, I'm going to get back to today's little misadventure. I have about 100 kilometers to get me back to the ferry, so I do feel a little bit more at ease now that I'm not quite so far out, but I'm going to talk later about what I would do if like various things went wrong being out here all alone, because I do have a plan for everything pretty much all the time. It has been quite cold for several days now, but this is the first day this year that it's been sunny and cold, and the wind only makes it feel colder. But inside, with shelter from the wind and with my van being a dark color in the sun, it's pretty comfortable right now. But I'm okay with the cold because we did live without heat for 8 winters. Most of the time we were in Canada, but because I don't trust technology for my survival, even though I have a heater, I can run out of diesel, I can run out of power. Both are things that are completely possible on this trip. So I've always kept all my blankets in here. So I have about 10 blankets, and the sleeping bag that Frank is currently wrapped in is was a -20 sleeping bag when it was new. It is very old and very worn out, so it's definitely not as warm as it used to be, but it's still extremely cozy. And then I have tons of layers and warm tea, and so I have a lot of tools to deal with being comfortable in the cold, the most important of which is just mental fortitude and having a good attitude about it. It's not really fun being cold, but if you have a negative mindset about it, it makes it a whole lot worse. My vehicle is dead in the middle of the road. I don't think I'm out of gas. I drove today after taking yesterday off driving because I was completely out of power, and the only way I can make power is by driving. But I think I was just driving and my van just turned off. There is a decent line of sight, and it is after the ferry has stopped, so it is unlikely somebody will come along. So I think I've killed my battery. I'm just letting it settle and hopefully it will start again, but if not, I will have to jump it off my house battery, which I hate doing. And I'm probably going to buy like a jumper pack when I get into Whitehorse, or a new battery. My van battery might just be toast from so much charging, but yeah, it's about 2 hours till dark, so it's all right. It's all right. But yeah, I'm still about 50k away from Ross River. Yeah, not great. It is not great. Yeah, it's like running out of everything. It's like I really badly need to go into a city to do laundry and to shower and to get food and like all of that. I just really don't want to. Oh, crap. There's no way that's ever going to end up starting on its own, so yeah, I have to boost off the house battery, and then it looks like I'm done charging for today. I'll have to drive for quite a while and strengthen my battery a bit. All right, I am on my way. I had opened up the back and was just about to put the camera out to like film like setting up the jumper cables, and a man came along. He got on the last ferry across to this way, so he's the only person on the road between me and Ross River, and so he gave me a boost. I was like, had the cables in hand, hood was open, and I was just like, ah. So it was really good. I guess I won't be charging my house battery anymore. I'm going to drive for a while and charge up my car battery. That's kind of important. My van just died again. I don't know. I was going down a hill. I'm like shaking because when the power cuts out, there's not much for brakes. So, okay, but it started. So I don't know why it just turned off. But yeah, I'm really pushing it on this trip. I don't know what's going on with my van, but yeah, I am unsettled now. Are you kidding me? There's a grizzly bear on the road, and my van is dead again. My van is dead. My van is dead. Oh. Oh, I'm so glad it started because I cannot get out right now. That is a big grizzly bear. What the heck is going on today? Okay, I need to get out of this area. I don't want to harass this bear, but I want to get out of here. Setting out on the road today, I knew there was a chance I might run out of gas. It is something that's been on my mind for many days, and I had a plan for that, which I will tell you about. But what I did not expect is that my van would just start turning off. And after encountering that grizzly bear, I was pretty done with filming, but my van ended up turning off 3 more times. The first of those 3 times, I was going down a steep hill that had a turn at the bottom, and thankfully I was going really, really slow entering the hill because, like I mentioned, when the power cuts out, it's really hard to brake. The brakes just like hardly work. So I was able to stop, and my van restarted pretty good. And so from there was a long stretch of road with no stopping because it was a slide area, and the road was really narrow, mostly single lane with like a steep drop off to the river and a bank on the other side. So really no room for error, and it was really windy and up and down, and it was also had rained there earlier in the day, so it was quite slick and greasy with like a muddy clay layer on top. So I drove really slow, which thankfully, like, I'm just smart like that, because my van ended up stopping 2 more times, and it restarted both times, although it had a little bit of difficulty the 3rd time. And so even though I was mentally shot and exhausted and did not want to be driving, I ended up driving all the way to this side of the ferry, and I got here just before dark. And I'm not really sure why my van is doing what it's doing. Every time it turned off, I was either downhill or I was like braking, which would, both of those situations would bring the gas forward in the tank. And if I was really low, that could mean that there wasn't gas like where the pump drew from. But normally when I have fuel issues or shortage of fuel issues, the engine kind of sputters and lurches, and it doesn't just cut out. But then because my van kept starting every time, I didn't think it was power. As I drove, I could see that I had good voltage on the battery, so I knew the battery was taking a charge. I knew the alternator was working. I hadn't blown any fuses or my van wouldn't restart. And I've had other situations in the past where my van would randomly turn itself off, and that ended up being the idle air control valve, but it did weird things. It didn't just cut out. So I'm not really sure what's going on, but I am less than half a kilometer from the gas station. So tomorrow I will go into town and I will fill up, and I've avoided putting in the jerry can I have because I want to see just how low my fuel tank was. So hypothetically speaking, if I'd run out of gas, I would have put the jerry can in, and that would have gotten me close enough to town that I could either walk in with a jerry can to get gas, or try to hitch a ride from somebody, like get in the back of their truck and get a ride in to get gas. And if I had put in the jerry can and still run out of gas before time, and I was further than what I could do in a day, in that case I would have put Frank in the chariot. I would have packed a backpack with my tent and food and overnight stuff, and I would have just made the trip on foot. But most likely, if I had to do that, somebody would have stopped and helped me and taken me into town, because over the past couple days, there has gotten a lot more traffic out here as hunting season goes into full swing. Although most people were going out, that would have at least helped me get back. So I did have a plan in place in case I had totally run out of gas. That is why it's really important to have a jerry can on hand. Even if it's empty, then you can take that to fill, or somebody can help you take that to fill. And that's also why it's so important to have your own jumper cables, is if something happens, you just need another vehicle. They don't have to have equipment. So to me, those are like two essential items. I did manage to drive enough before everything went wrong to get enough power to charge my computer and run the heater and all that kind of stuff. So I will be able to do the work I need to stay up and do tonight, as much as I just want to crash out and go to bed, because it was a really stressful last like 5 hours. And I did a good enough job rationing my diesel fuel that I can enjoy a nice warm night and morning and get some good rest when I finally go to bed. So there's a lot of things that could have gone wrong going that far out for that long, and so far none of those things I anticipated went wrong, and instead I had all these like issues with my van shutting down. And if my van had not restarted when that grizzly bear was there, I would have just, I don't know, I would have stayed inside. And anyways, I am exhausted. I have some food soaking that I'm gonna eat, and then I have to stay up and edit. So I will touch base with you tomorrow when I put gas in my van, or if something goes wrong before then. Okay, I'm at the ferry. My van died, it wouldn't start, so I put in the jerry can of gas and it started, and so far it's staying on. So hopefully, I had just actually run out of gas like half a kilometer from the gas station, which is kind of hilarious. But I'm gonna go fill up and see how much it takes, and I'll know for sure. All right, we are in Ross River. I have gone to the gas station. I have filled up. I put in that 15-liter jerry can of fuel, and then I pumped 113 liters at the gas station. I have a 120-liter tank, and somehow I put in 128 liters worth of fuel. So the first time my van died yesterday, that was a power issue because it wouldn't restart. But the next 5 times that it died, I'm pretty sure that was like me running out of gas, which normally I would notice that it's a gas issue because it would kind of sputter and lurch, but it just didn't do any of that. So I was honestly really concerned I had a different issue with my van. So I'm really glad that now that I've put in gas, it's just running good. And yeah, just like, I knew I would be cutting it close on this trip. And I had a feeling that with the gas can I would make it, but the fact that I completely ran out right before getting on the ferry, less than a kilometer from the gas station, is just kind of hilarious. So I must have been running on fumes for like 50 kilometers, which is kind of amazing. So all in all, that tank took me like 482 kilometers. Whereas I can get over 600 on a highway. So it's like a pretty big difference with highway driving or back road driving. And, you know, a lot of that road, it was really slow going, sometimes as low as like 10 kilometers an hour. Plus, it was like over many days. So it's a lot of times firing up the engine and warming it up and having it idle. So it was a good learning experience. Everything worked out fine. And like I mentioned, I had a backup plan in case I ran out of gas sooner. And yeah, so this is a good adventure, although the timing with that grizzly bear made it really, really exciting. So I have fuel, I have diesel, I ate a bag of chips, and then I just kind of like spaced out for 2 hours and snuggled with Frank to just decompress after the whole time back there. And now I have to finish editing a video. I have a deadline. So that's going to be it for this video. I have to be in Whitehorse in a few days, so I'm going to be taking a route I haven't taken before to get there. And I'm really excited because I'm going to be seeing a friend on the way, and she is making cobbler. I haven't had a real dessert in a long time. And that's something I crave every night, is to have like some sort of sweet or cakey or some sort of dessert. And I just don't really buy that kind of stuff because I lack self-control, and I just like will end up eating all of it at once, and I don't really have the ability to make it because I don't have an oven. So I'm really looking forward to having somebody else's home cooked dessert. But yeah, I will see you in the next adventure whenever I decide to pick up the camera, whether that's on the way to Whitehorse or in Whitehorse or after, I don't know. But Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking to the end. If you're a patron, thank you so much. I got a cute clip of Frank to send you off on your way, and we'll see you soon.